Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lppbbsg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. And I am Aaron, an alcoholic. Thank you. Our study follows a 96-week cycle that begins on title page and continues through page 164. We study spiritual experience in Appendix 2 3 times when the asterisk refers us there. We also study Dr. Bob's Nightmare and the 12 Traditions. We close our study on week 96 by studying spiritual experience as a standalone meeting. Our meeting began January 7, 2020. Using this format, we are grateful you're here to study with us. My name is Aaron, and I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic.
And my name is Larry, and I am a grateful recovered alcoholic.
Before we begin, please be aware that the first 90 minutes of this meeting will be recorded in audio only for our website, podcast, and YouTube channel. If you missed a study portion, you can listen to it online. Study pages will also be listed in the chat. Be sure to check out the information posted in the chat throughout the meeting for other meeting times. Are there any announcements for the greater good of AA or for this group?
I'm Trish, and I'm an alcoholic. And we will be having a group conscience on July 27th, which is a Monday night. And anyone is welcome to attend, but only home group members are eligible to vote. And if you're interested in becoming a home group member, please let me know by chat.
Thank you, Trish. Tonight's recap will start on page 84 with "This thought brings us to step 10" and ends on page 85 with "That means more action," and that will be read by Donna. And then tonight's study page will start on 85 with step 11 suggestion, prayer and meditation, and ends on 87, "We come to rely on it," read by Jack.
Please take a moment to settle in and get comfortable. We take our big book study seriously, and we want everyone to feel present and connected as we begin. In a moment, we'll have a 3-minute meditation followed by our family fog-light prayer. As we move into the study, please help us maintain a peaceful environment. Please be mindful of background noise when you are unmuted. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it on Zoom. Also, please stay muted during other people's shares. We will call on hands in the order that they are raised.
From the foreword to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book and of this group. For the meditation, focus on your breath and posture. Breathe in God and breathe out self. Take this time to reconnect with God and release the day.
And let's bring in those monks. Not that screen. And please join me in our family's fog light prayer. God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those who are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen.
It's time now for our secretary's report. Take it away, Joanne.
Joanne, you're muted.
You're muted.
Glad I was muted too. Good. I'm back now. My name is Joanne. I'm alcoholic. And I am your recovered alcohol secretary. And I have asked Maurice to read the recovery statement to explain why many in this group identify as recovered ED baby. Come on, Maurice.
Hello, my name is Maurice, a brave recovering alcoholic. Recovered, we are not cured of alcoholism. We recovered, but not cured. That presents a conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime. But we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. Page 23. We are now sane where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered.
Thank you. And we meet every Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. CT time for fellowship before the meeting. Our big book study began properly at 6:30 p.m. CT. During the study, chat will be disabled. And from the forward to the second edition, page XX, of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sober up after some relapse, and the remainder, those who stayed on with AA, show improvement. All right, could we have a show of hands of people joining us for the first time?
I think we've got a few. Welcome,
Let me
Nikki,
see.
and welcome, Karen.
Come.
We've got two
Welcome.
Nickies tonight. And welcome,
Welcome.
Maurice.
All right, thank you. Okay, and the recovering alcoholic, these are your potential sponsor. All right. If anyone celebrating a milestone this week, all right, we all got to keep coming back. Okay. If you need a big book, we can send you a large print copy. Please let one of the co-hosts know by chat after the meeting. Please practice the 7th tradition using the link in the chat and on the screen. All right, we encourage you to get a big book and work with the untreated alcoholic to take them through the program of recovery. And thank you, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Joanne. Great job.
Thank you, Joanne. From there is a solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. This is an open meeting and everyone is welcome. You're not required to identify yourself if you don't want to. Your anonymity will always be protected. We ask that you protect ours also. Our group is for those who want to recover from alcoholism and have the desire to stop drinking for good and all. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such responsibilities.
Before we begin our study of the Big Book, last week we reviewed Tradition 2. Tonight, let's take a quick look at Tradition 3. Please refer to page 562 of Alcoholics Anonymous. Come on in, Shell.
Tongue twister, isn't it? Hi everyone, I'm Lisa, aka Seashell Pickle, and I'm your traditionalist. Okay, 562, Tradition 3, the short form. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. And the long form. With respect to its own affairs, each AA group should be responsible to no other authority than its own conscience. But when its plans concern the welfare of neighboring groups also, those groups ought to be consulted. And no group, regional committee, or individual should ever take any action that might greatly affect AA as a whole without conferring with the trustees of the General Service Board. On such issues, our common welfare is paramount. I was doing a little research, and I found a little history that I wasn't aware of and that I learned, and I'd like to share it with you. Let me see. Yeah, it starts with, it wasn't always this way. Early on, many AA groups had stringent rules and regulations regarding membership. Asked to list these requirements and send them to AA headquarters, Bill W. remarked, if all these rules had been enforced everywhere at once, it would have been practically impossible for any alcoholic to have joined AA. Recognizing how restrictive such rules and regulations could be, it was determined to throw the doors of AA wide open. Since then, many have been the grateful beneficiaries of this tradition. And thank goodness for that. I am so very grateful. Because if there was any application or anything like that, I don't think I would have stayed. I remember when I first came in and all the times coming back and being welcomed. And I needed that because I felt so horrible inside. I was also reading about a story, and even though I haven't seen anything like this happen, I have, seen a lot of judgment in like cliquies and in groups, which, I think looking back, if I saw that in my first meeting, that may have kept me away too. But in the story, a man comes in drinking, and although he wasn't disruptive, and the members were actually louder than he was, that because he was drinking and his clothes were scuffed and, you know, didn't look proper, they escorted him out. And that horrified me. How many times, you know, in my life, whether it was at a bar, whether it was at my home, whether I was disturbing my neighbors, you know, or work, or just in a restaurant. You know, how intolerant can you be? You know, we need to stick to those principles, you know, patience, kindness, tolerance, love. You know, I was talking to my sponsor this week, and I was struggling a little bit. And it was brought to my, well, I was asked a question. You being a little judgy? Someone in my life. And, you know, my first thought was, no, no, not me. But after careful reflection and talking and looking around it and talking to God, you know, it started coming. I started to see it. And I started to look at the disease, not the person. And that's where I want to be. You know, once I started to look at that and not the person, you know, those feelings, that irritability left, the peace started coming back, and I could be helpful to this person. You know, how many times, and even still now, if I get stuck in my own will, you know, I can't see things. You know, and I had to remember when. And like in that group, those people that took that man out, I mean, where's your remember when? You know, where's the patience, tolerance? And, you know, I just want to say, you know, any newcomers or anything, you know, if you see that, that's not AA. You know, there's many groups, find another group. And, but that type of stuff keeps people out there. And I'm just so grateful for this tradition too. Because if it was anything more than a desire, I don't know how that would have worked for me. Because I spent so many years trying to pick and choose what I wanted to do instead of doing it like it says in the book. So I know for me, if it was any more than a desire, I probably wouldn't have come back. And I'm just very grateful tonight. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now it's time for our weekly segment of That Ain't in the Book. Sometimes we hear things in meetings that can't be reconciled with what's in the big book. The topic for tonight is don't drink no matter what. And let's hear what the big book has to say about that. I chose Nikki T. Icy Pickle to read from page 34, paragraph 2.
Okay, here I go.
Sorry.
Should I start?
Yep.
Okay. Many of us felt that we had plenty of character. There was a tremendous urge to cease forever, yet we found it impossible. This is the baffling feature of alcoholism as we know it, this utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me give service.
Thank you. Be sure to use your pens and highlighters and rulers as we study. We used the study guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group to stay focused and consistent. We read the material once, then dissect it through questions and answer format. After tonight's study, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium. The answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified, and multi-part questions are simply a one-sentence answer split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation. This helps us understand and help apply the content clearly.
After the study, we open the meeting for comments and questions based on the pages just read. Our purpose here is to stay in the book and let the message do the work. If a share drifts into something better handled with the sponsor, we'll kindly point you that way.
You can never go wrong by commenting on the pages studied, which brings us to the words of one of our co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, sobriety, freedom from alcohol through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps is the sole purpose of any Alcoholics Anonymous group.
Before we begin the recap, we need 5 to 6 volunteers to read the answers. Do you pronounce it Tanja?
Tanya.
Tanya, I'm sorry.
And Gandalf, why don't you come on in with the reading?
Come on in. Good evening, yes, afternoon, good day, everyone. My name is Donald, aka the Red Pickle, and I am a very grateful recovered but not cured alcoholic. And this is the recap from last week. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. We vigorously commence this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss it with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code. We have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. For by this time, sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as if in a hot flame. react sanely and normally, and we will find that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude toward liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We are not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we had been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. It is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are headed for troubles if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We are not cured of alcoholism. What we have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which will go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense. But we must go further, and that means more action.
Thank you very much, Don.
Thank you.
And I've asked Jacqueline to read the study portion.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacqueline M., and I'm a recovered alcoholic. Step 11, suggest prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men than we are, using it constantly. It works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. It would be easy to be vague about this matter, yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestion. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving towards all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God forgiveness and inquire the corrective measure should be taken. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for today. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motive. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is clear of wrong motives. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here, we ask God for inspiration and into the thought or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We do not struggle. We are often surprised how the right answer comes after we have tried this for a while. What used to be The hunch or occasional inspiration gradually become a working part of the mind. Being still in experience and having such made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We may pay for this presumption in all sorts of obscure action and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. We usually
Thank you very-
conclude.
Thank
Oh.
you very much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you for everyone who read this evening. And for our answer readers, speak clearly. Follow the text sentence by sentence, and if you lose your place, you may pass or allow the question reader to guide you. All right, and the batting order for tonight is Kenny, Linda, Joanne, Tanya, and Jack. And from page 85, Kenny, what is step 11?
Number 11 suggests prayer and meditation.
Thank you. And Linda, why shouldn't we be shy about our prayer? 2 sentences.
We shouldn't be shy on this manner of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly.
Thank you. And Joanne, what is required to make prayer work?
It is work. If we have the proper attitude and work at it.
Absolutely. And Tanya, what would be easy?
It would be easy to be big about this matter.
Thank you. And Jacqueline, how did the first 100 believe they could help us here?
Yes, we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions.
And the first comment of many comments tonight is sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Prayer is talking to God, and meditation is trying to listen to His still voice. He gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. From that, it may be clear as to how important it is to try to follow the directions we are given in this book for learning how to communicate with our Heavenly Father.
Thank you. And Kenny, what do we do at bedtime?
When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. And the next comment, we hear a lot about the 10th step inventory. This is the 11th step inventory. While they are similar in nature, there are subtle differences. Here, we begin to receive directions for meditation.
And Linda, this is a 2-part question. A, what is the first question we must answer? And B, what 4 things do we continue to look for?
Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Is this continuing step 4 and step 10? Should I not only ask if I was resentful, selfish, dishonest, and afraid, but also ask why?
And Joanne, what is the second question we must answer?
Have we kept something to
No,
ourselves?
do we,
Do we owe an apology?
Is this continuing step 8 and 9?
Tanya, what is the third question we must answer?
Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once?
I did.
Is this continuing step 5?
And Jacqueline, what is the fourth question we must answer?
Were we kind and loving towards all?
Thank you.
Is this love and service to God and the people about us?
Kenny, what is the fifth question we must answer?
What could we have done better?
Thank you. And Linda, what is the sixth question we must answer?
Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time?
Thank you.
Is this selfish and self-centeredness?
Joanne, this is the two-part question. A, what is the seventh question we must answer? And B, what is the eighth question we must answer?
Were we thinking of what we could do for other? Of what we could pack into the stream of life?
Thank you.
Love and service to all.
And Tanya, another two-part question. A, what must we be careful not to do? And B, why?
But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others.
Thank you. And Jack, after meditating on these questions, what do we pray?
After making our review, we ask God forgiveness and inquire if the corrective measure should be taken.
Again, the book gives us specific directions on what we are to do and the order that we are to do them.
Thank you. And Tanya, what is the first thing we should do when we wake up in the
Sorry,
I'm sorry. Kenny, what is the first thing we should do when we wake up in the morning?
On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead.
Thank you. And Linda, what do we consider?
We consider our plans for the day.
Thank you. And Joanne, what prayer do we apply before we begin?
Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motive.
Thank you.
This is the 11th step prayer.
One more.
Oh. And here is given the instructions of how to start our day so that we do not drag yesterday's problems in today.
Thank you. And Tanya, another two-part question. A, what can we do under these conditions? And B, why did God give us brains in the first place?
under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use.
Thank you. And Jacqueline, where will we now find our thought life?
Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when when our thinking is clear of wrong motives.
Does this appear to be a promise?
Kenny, considering the day ahead, what may we face?
In thinking about our day, we may face indecision
Thank you. And Linda, what may we not be able to do?
We may not be able to determine which course to take.
Thank you. And Joanne, what do we pray?
Here we ask God for inspiration and intuitive thought of a decision.
Is this another prayer?
And Tanya, 2 sentences. How do we begin to learn the practice of quiet meditation?
We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle.
And Jacqueline, what will surprise us after we practice these directions?
We are often surprised how the right answer comes after we have tried this for a while.
Does this appear to be another promise?
Kenny, what do hunches and inspirations become for us?
What used to be a hunch or an occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of our mind.
Thank you.
Does this appear to be repeating another promise? We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us.
And Linda, why will we not be inspired all the time?
Being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times.
Thank you. And Joanne, if we presume the contrary, what will happen?
We may pay for this presumption in all sort of absolute action and ideals.
Thank you.
It is always a good practice to check out our great ideals with our sponsors.
They are the best. And Jacqueline, Tanya, what do we find?
Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration.
Does this appear to be another promise?
And Jacqueline, our last question of the night, does it become important to us?
We come to rely on it.
And does this become another promise?
Thank you. And thank you for our answer readers. And for everyone who read this evening, if you have an experience with the pages read tonight, you are free to share. Please stay on topic and be mindful of time. You will see a 5-minute timer at the top of the screen. I think we're going to disable that tonight, but a friendly reminder, absence of profanity offends no one. We are now open for comments, questions, observations, and spiritual experiences based on the study material. Don't all jump at once, except for Linda. Thank you, Linda. Come on in.
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm an alcoholic. I like the 11th step. I like the 7th step too, because certain steps are very zen. It says it right there. In step 10, we cease fighting anyone and anything. When we finally realize the war is over, we can be at peace. That's what that's my take on it. When I finally understood I didn't have to fight people, that the war is over, and that the battle is not mine, it's God's, that I can calm down. I can open up and I can let God in. I can listen to God. I can meditate. You know, I like the promises. It says, we're painstaking about this phase of our development. We'll be amazed before we're halfway through. And then it talks about a new freedom and happiness and not regretting the past, you know, and then comprehending serenity and knowing peace. And this one, the 5th promise for me is very important because it says, no matter how far down the scale I've gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. And I just used that example of something, a character defect I had, and I met someone in AA that was suffering from that same character defect, and I was able to assist them. I was able to help them through, be supportive of them, and let them know I'm there for you. And there's solutions along the way. It's going to be a rocky road dealing with this character defect and trying to make amends and trying to patch up all this damage you've done because of this character defect. But it is possible. It is possible. Had I not taken that experience and hold it for a rainy day for someone else, if I would have kept the shame, the guilt, the remorse, and the selfishness, it says self-seeking, the feeling of uselessness and self-seeking will disappear. And I like how it comes right after, no matter how far down the scale. If I had took the sixth promise, and I had all that, self-pity, embarrassment, shame, I wouldn't have been able to help this individual. I would not have been able to help her. And and this is another thing about our experiences. Once I helped her, it was like, again, a confession, a fourth step of my character defect. And I was able to release it. I was able to explain to her how we're going to walk through this and how it's better on the other side. But when I helped her, it released me from my shame and my guilt. And I think I shared something like this before. So we never, ever have to be ashamed of anything we've gone through. And these promises, oh man, they're awesome. We're going to lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Someone asks you to share at a meeting. You're coming home from work and getting on the train and fighting people on the train and this and that. And you're tired and you didn't eat, but you're still making it to the meeting to share the message of AA. When you're able to do a 12-step in the middle of the night and you're tired and you have to go to work, self-seeking will slip away. A lady was sharing in a meeting, and she shared, she's in another state, and she was just so upset, and she was ready to take her life. She was drinking, she relapsed and said, I can't do this anymore. She was in a meeting and she said it. So some ladies got her number. They're in New York. The other one is, I think, in Georgia. And they actually got in their cars and they drove to that state that she was at. And they helped her. They didn't even know who she was. And this is the power of this program. This program is powerful. And that's how much the interest in selfish things slips away. That's how much it went across from one state to another state to help this woman. And I'm sure the whole attitude upon the outlook upon life changed. If you're doing things like that, of course your outlook upon life has changed. Of course, definitely. And for me, fear of people and of economic insecurity did leave me, and I had to understand there's always a solution. It's not doomsday. It's always a solution. I don't have to be afraid. My God is going to carry me no matter what. My God will carry me. And then intuitively know how to handle situations, which used to baffle us. I had a situation, and it was justifiable anger. I had a right to be angry. But because I have steps, I didn't act on it, and I got a good solution. I got a very good solution. And then once I accepted the whole situation, and I thought about a solution, I was able to get past it, and I like what it said about we'll realize God is doing for us what we can't do for ourselves. Yes, we do realize that. So I love these promises, and they're right there. But they're right there in that 11th step, and I'm glad that I'm at this meeting, and it has shown me and broken it down in bits and pieces of where these promises are. Thank you, Lppbbsg.
Thank you very much, Linda. Wonderful ship there. And feel free to raise your hand or I can pick on you. Oh, Tanya, come on in.
Thank you so much. Tanya, alcoholic, grateful to be here, sober and alive today. And thank you all for this wonderful meeting. I love step 11. For me, step 11 is all about self-healing, self-care. These are really clear suggestions what to do before I retire at night and when upon awakening. I just need to follow them. I just make sure that that I turn my will over to my highest power instead of trying to run on self-will. And I did that a couple days ago when I decided not to turn it over. And I was I was doing it, my way, and I just felt some fear. I just felt fear. I spoke with one of my good friends, and they found something on her skin, and they did biopsy. So she was waiting to hear back, and I was nervous for her. I was very nervous for her. She's young, and she's really in good place. And then I'm thinking, my goodness. And what did that trigger? It triggered my fear that I carried with me because I have, because of my liver disease, and it triggered me, and I started feeling fear and thinking, oh, that could have been me. What if something, what if something happens again? But it says here, we don't struggle. I was struggling because I was overthinking, and my day wasn't great. I didn't think of calling my sponsor. I just said, oh, this will pass. So the next day was the same, and I said again, oh, it will pass. I'm meeting my sponsor on Monday at 5. But that's, it's not my decision to decide if it's going to pass or not. I need to follow my sponsor's instructions. I need to follow these steps and do what's asked of me. And it says here, in thinking about our day, we may face indecisions. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. So I decided I chose to struggle instead of to find to work the steps, call my sponsor, and have good 2 days. And it says, we're often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. So I need to keep doing this. I need to keep trying. I love these. They're right there in front of me. I just have to be willing and make the right choice to go through them instead of trying to be my own hero, which I know that every time I run on self-will, I fail, and I don't want to fail again. So lesson learned. And I will continue coming to these meetings and continue to practice and practice. I'm not perfect. Nobody's asking for perfection. As long as I keep making progress and working with my sponsor and being in these meetings and providing service and taking care of myself and relying upon my higher power, I will be okay. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Tanya. Wonderful share. Absolute progress, not perfection. And does anybody else want to come? Are you waving your hand, Trish? Sure.
I can, sure. I was waving at a fruit fly. I'm Trish, and I'm an alcoholic. And, I love how it says in the beginning, step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. For years, with my upbringing, and then after coming in here, it's like hearing people pray. It's like, I don't pray like that. I don't have those words. I don't sound that elegant. I can't pray. And then just stopped. But I've come to realize that, God doesn't care what our words are or how we're saying it. He just wants that communication with us. Some days the best thing I can get out in my prayer is help. And that's enough. And there's a cute little story I read years ago. Dad walked into little girl who was supposed to be saying her prayers before bed, and all she was doing was reciting the alphabet over and over. And he's finally interrupted and said, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I don't know what to say, but I figure if I give God the letters, he'll be able to organize the words and he'll know what I'm trying to say." And that made so much sense to me. I don't have to say it, and I don't have to pray in any great and wonderful words. All I have to do is open my mouth and pray. And to me, that's just simply having a conversation as if God's sitting right next to me, whichever side. And once I realized that God didn't care what I said, as long as I was saying something, it made a whole lot more sense to me, and it made it a whole lot easier. And then coming down to when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. When I first came in, I was destructively reviewing my day. And that's not very beneficial, and that's not what we're supposed to be doing here. Yes, I've got to look at the good and the bad. What did I do right and what needs improvement? But I can't just go to bed every night and beating myself up for how my day went and what I did wrong, because then I'm never going to get any sleep. But then it goes on and says, we ask God what we could do better, a couple of lines down. And as long as I'm living in step 11, I'm also living, as the comments Larry read, in steps 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because I'm continuing that inventory. And sometimes that inventory I realize it's a big thing, and I have to pull out pen to paper and do a full 4th step on it. And then a 5th step and a 6th step and a 7th and an 8th and a 9th. And sometimes it's a real quick, yeah, I shouldn't have done this. I owe an amends tomorrow. But then making sure I follow up on that action as well. Biggie, were we kind and loving for all? Most days. But to everybody? And I can be snarky and I know it. But, I try really hard not to be. But some days it sneaks out, and I know when I do it, I've got to make that apology for it. I've got to make that amends and try not to. And then a little further down, what prayer do we apply before we begin? And it says, before we begin, we ask God. It says so much talk and so much focus is given the 3rd step prayer and the 7th step prayer, big paragraph prayers that are in the book. But when the book tells me I ask God, is that not a prayer that's following that? And I'll find those words in the book within the first 164 pages 25 different times. Single lines, but they're still prayers. And in this case, I ask God to direct my thinking. And then a couple of rows ahead of that, after making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures. 2 different times I've been given that direction to pray or to ask God, just in this one paragraph tonight. And that's continuing that prayer, sought through prayer and meditation to improve that conscious contact. Because if I don't improve my contact with you guys, if I don't improve my conscious contact with my Zoom family, I lose touch with you. How much quicker do I lose my conscious contact with God if I don't keep my prayer and meditation up and my contact with Him each day? Asking God for inspiration or intuitive thought or decision. I know that I have that when I get that feeling in my gut. I know in my gut if I'm doing something wrong, if I'm doing something right. And if I'm listening to my gut, I know that that thought is from God, or is that not a really great idea to do? But then I love, it reminds me, being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable we're going to be inspired at all times. And that goes back to the beginning sentence where we shouldn't be shy on this matter. God doesn't expect me to be eloquent in my words. He just wants to hear from me. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That was a wonderful share. Anybody want to come in? I'm Aaron. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you for letting me be of service this evening. And I'm very grateful for service work, and I'm grateful for you guys. You know, so I have to be careful not to get drunk on it. I had a lot of anger issues growing up as a kid, and like Trish, I was raised in organized religion. I was raised Jewish. You know, you go Friday night, you do this, you celebrate the holidays, and, you know, like anything else, if you put money in the basket, it is what it is. But you know, I didn't know how to pray. I knew there was a God, and you know, this weekend, my wife started clinicals for school, and I happened to be off with the kids, and she double booked. Actually, she like triple booked, and you know, I got pretty angry because I had to be in 3 places at once at, you know, one point in the day, and you know, if I'm not careful, you know, reviewing in that moment, you know, I had to take a breath and, you know, pray, and I could only, I like what Trish said, even if it's just help, or I don't know what to do, but I also don't want to yell at my kids or my wife, and because that's all behaviors, and you know, sometimes they slip through the cracks, and you know, I pen the paper and call my sponsor. Sometimes if I'm at work, I work overnight shifts, so I work all night. I get home, I help with the kids, and then I pray before I retire in the morning and not at night. And that was a really difficult transition for me. It still kind of is. But you know, I'm very grateful for step 11, and I have to listen or read on Awakening quite a bit as well, because if I don't pray when I get home or when I wake up the same able that I did that day, or you know, that I am, and you know, I'm forever grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, picking up that phone, calling your sponsor, you know, taking my inventory daily. You know, before I couldn't even get a week or a month, and sometimes even a day of sobriety, right? You know, until that one little prayer came out, please, God, help me. I don't know what to do. And, you know, I gave my will to him. And sometimes I take it back, but today I don't have to. So thank you for letting me share. Scuba.
Yeah, I kept waiting for somebody else to raise their hands, but, you know, step 11, you know, when I went through all the steps, you know, I got to step 11 especially, and even got to step 12. Step 11 was a reminder that I wasn't fixed. You know, I still had work in my life that, you know, that I had to do work every day if I was going to stay sober. And you know, it is a constant reminder that this disease is still working in me, even if I don't want a drink today. If I don't keep working on myself, I might want to drink later on down the road. So I want to keep working on myself so that I stay spiritually fit and mindful. You know, I have, we've heard several things, and I'm not going to get into next week's study, but I'm going to say the first part where it says we go through the day, we pause, and I'm going to stop right there because that's what we're doing in step 11, that we're pausing. We're meditating, we're taking some time out with our creator, our higher power, and we're communicating. We're asking for direction for our lives because we are incapable of making decisions on our own. And especially when we first got in here, we were so very incapable of making any real decisions for ourselves. As we stay in here, our hunches, our occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of our minds, and we make better decisions on a daily basis. That does not mean, though, that we stop communicating with God, we still ask and communicate with Him. It just simply means that we are better at doing things on a fly. When things come up, we don't necessarily fly off at the handle as much. We don't say things, we don't cuss, like we might, earlier on, at a snap of our fingers, because we make better decisions. But we still need to direct our attention to make our plans according to what He has for us in any particular day, because He knows best and He wants best for us. I want all my motives cleaned up and cleared up in my life. I do not want wrong motives in my life today. I can get wrong motives, and when they come up, I need to be able to listen. It talks about having, in the comments today, we have 2 ears, we have 1 mouth. We need to listen more than we speak to God. We need to be listening to what. That's all. Thank you for listening. I'm glad you're here today.
Thank you, Larry. I'm glad you're here. And Joanne, come on in.
Good evening, family. My name is Joanne. I'm alcoholic. Glad to be part of this group tonight. Glad that we all here. And I like step 11. But at first when I started working with my sponsor, I don't know that I like step 11 or not. But I probably did it. But I think what I didn't like was the meditation. Because every time I try to meditate, I go to sleep. I still go to sleep right now. They be like, Joanne, sleep. But it's okay, because it be sleeping a different way. Because I hear everything I need to hear, and I know what they talking about, and I do what they said do. But you know what I like about my recovery in the 11th step today? By the time I made the beginning on step 6 with a sponsor, step 7, and by the time I learned those prayers, because like you said, when you wake up in the morning, 11, ask God to divorce of self-pity, self-will, and all that. So when I did my 5th step, I found out that I had those characters, those characters. So that, and then step 10 tell us, continue, they're gonna be with us anyway. Then step 7 tell us the good and the bad. So I'm still gonna have them, but I'm gonna practice so I don't have to present them to the people, I present them myself. So throughout the course of the day, I just thank God for what it is or what done happened, and I ask him to remove or whatever it is going on. Help me throughout the day. That's what my prayer consists of. And most of the time, it worked during the day. So like when I go to bed at night, and when God wake me up, and when I go to bed at night, sometimes I be too tired to reflect on my day. Like the day I babysit them kids, y'all. And then I had to do my job at work. And then I had to talk to some clients that suffer from mental health issues. Then I had to deal with my own self. So that's a lot in one day. So I'm tired. So by the time I lay down, because I can reflect over my day, but by the time I lay down and wake up, God put on my mind what I need to take a look at. He always wake me up with it. And if I need to make amends or make apology, I will. But I like step 11 because no matter what's going on, especially when they talk about, I don't think I can go further. I better wait. But I like step 11, especially when I got to step 11 where I was able to say, that will not mine, and leave it with God. Because see, at first I wasn't able to leave it with him because of the fear, because of my character defect, because of not having enough faith, not believing. But as I continue to work the step with my sponsor, and I continue to be a sponsor, and I continue to do the things up front of me to do, I got to the place where I'm able to get on my knees and say, that will not mine be done. And leave it with God and let it stay there. And I was able to do that when my son died. I was able to do that when my sister died. I was able to do that when I got sick. I was able to do that through a lot of circumstances, stuff that happened to me. But I was able to do that because y'all do it. Y'all was doing stuff like that. I didn't come here knowing none of this stuff. I had a Christian life. I was a Baptist. I was a Sunday school teacher. I was all that stuff in Mississippi. But by the time I got to Chicago and started drinking, baby, bye. I forgot all about religion or anything. I believe in Jesus Christ. I was born and raised with Jesus. So, but it's different. When I got here and I made y'all, I had to learn how to make my decision. You know, I had to learn how to, like in step 2, it said we be restored. So that let me know I already had something in me that I believed in or I didn't believe in. It was something that's lived in me. And I know why I didn't ever find it when I was drunk. And I did find it sometime, you know. But step 11 is one of the most important steps for me. Only because I have to trust God with everything I got. Ain't no certain thing getting off my knees and taking it back. And when I give it to him and trust him, he's going to save it and make it right, I got to go ahead on and do service work, reach out to another alcoholic, help somebody else, do what I got to do and leave it in God's hand. And next thing you know, God take care. Then I'll be free again. But anyway, I'm glad to be part of this meeting tonight. Thank y'all, and I keep coming back.
Thank you very much for a wonderful share. Jacqueline, come on in. Or Rick, did you have your hand up? I'm sorry. I do apologize.
It doesn't matter, you know, if you wanted to go first, that's, big alcoholic. I thank God every day, for this way of life. I am, best way I can retire, the best way I can describe this life today is, this retirement I'm living in. I have done nothing to plan it. I never said to myself, I think I'm gonna go to AA, ask God for forgiveness and for his help and to show me how to be helpful. That wasn't my plan. But today, because that's the life I have today, I don't try to. I know there's no other way for me, or there's no other way for me to be, no other place for me to be, but to be right here in this life.
Now, it may not be, you know, a way I wanna go at times, but I don't change it. Because I can be tired at night. And what gives me these questions, was I resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? All these defects that can be added into my character. The answer is usually no, or is no, all the time. I have a life today where I'd rather add the principles to my character now, instead of having character defects, defects of character. What could I have done better? Is a question that's here. You know, yesterday, me and two others, and my grandson, I've been wanting for a while to visit Ground Zero in Manhattan. And a few things weren't working out, such as those tickets and apps they put on your phone so you can get into this and that. And my attitude was, I don't care, let's just pay let's do this again, get reimbursed later. Instead of asking a zillion questions to the people who are there to guide us, they don't know. Turned out to be a great day, a little emotional at first, but I decided to step back and take in everything that the whole site was representing, and the care and the love and the respect that went into making that place, that memorial. Just enjoying the day. For me, this way of life is, this way of life, when I say the serenity prayer, especially the part where to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The 11th step prayer helps me with that. Make me a channel like peace, where there is hatred, let me sow love, and the rest of it. It helps me to make those changes I need to make. Staying in service to him and to this program gives me that better way of life. I hate today to make an apology or an amends, because I shouldn't have to be doing that. If I'm adding the principles to my character, I should be living a life where I don't have to. Oh man, you don't owe an amends, you owe an apology to somebody. When you see them tomorrow, you gotta do that. You know, I just want to keep trying to do better. And these pages right here, when it says on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. If I take the paragraph before that, that tells me to watch for resentfulness, watch for selfishness, watch for dishonesty, or being afraid. Don't be in a way where I'm going to end up owing an apology. I can, instead of using this at night, I can turn those around, like you guys every once in a while will take the promises and reverse them, and I'll have these questions for it. I forget how it goes. Maybe I should come for that one too. What could I have done better? Did I do that right? So anyways, I'm going over time, and thank you guys for always being here. There are times when I know I'm not going to do anything else but come here. I need to drop in on you folks every now and again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Glad you're here. Glad to see you. Jack. Excellent. Come on in.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacqueline M., and I'm a recovered alcoholic. And thank you, everyone, for your service tonight. Yeah, I try to live in step 10, 11, and 12 today. You know, I've cleaned up the wreckage of my past. You know, oftentimes, when I was kind of new with this, oftentimes I wondered why they said when we retire at night instead of, reverse on awakening. But I have come to understand that, it says when we retire at night, we review our day. And, that's going back for me to step 11, because there's times, even in step 11, by the time I get to these 3 steps, and especially step 11, I have an awareness, a better awareness of myself than I did, when I first came in. And I know when I need to make an apology. I know when I have been selfish or dishonest, and it's given me an opportunity to go over my day. I have an app on my phone, and before I retire at night, I don't get in bed because I know if I get in bed, I'm gonna fall asleep. And that app has all these questions, and I try to be as honest as possible with those questions, and there's times that I have seen, during the course of the day where I was resentful, selfish, dishonest, and I was afraid, and I asked myself, these why, I answer these things, to the best of my ability, and it says, once we do this, we ask for forgiveness, if I have done any of these things to anybody, and if I have to make some corrective measure, I will do that the next day. And there has been times that I knew, when I was working before I retired, I knew, when I snapped at person. I knew when I was dishonest. I knew when I needed to make apology. But my ego and my pride would get in the way, and I would say no. But when I review my day, to go over my day, I would write those things down, and the next day I would go back and I would make amends. This is a 24-hour plan, layout plan, for me. And then on awakening, what it does, it helps me with my thinking during the day. It helps me to, when I get off balance, to get back in balance. Where, for instance, it's not so much now, but especially when I was working, when I would have projects and stuff, and I had to make a decision. It's like these things was coming at me, and it would get me like kind of off balance or so, and I would have to sometimes get up from my desk and walk away and ask God to help me, especially when I couldn't get the answer, but before I would leave, let me back up. Before I would leave in the morning, and I really didn't stop practicing. I would pray, but to sit still and meditate, because first of all, in the beginning, I didn't put enough time on my clock. I would get up, I would say, thank you, God, for this new day. I would go in and get ready for work, fix my lunch and all of that. I didn't have time to sit still in the morning and make that conscious contact with God, that meditation. And it took another 12-step program about maybe 15 years ago for me to get in practice and doing that. You know, my sponsor said, put more time on your clock. You know, and as I put more time on my clock, I would sit down and I would be still, but my mind would keep going. And what I had to do, I had to begin to breathe in God and breathe out Jackie. Breathe in God and breathe out Jackie. And it started maybe 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time. Today I can sit still for 30 minutes, you know, making that same contact so I could develop a better, improve my relationship with my higher power, you know. So this latter part helps me with my thinking as I go through the day, you know, and if I can do that, and if I have the proper attitude, I get the results, you know. So I take God with me all during the day. I just don't pray in the morning. I don't just sit still and listen to him or her, it in the morning. I carry God with me all during the day, you know, because during the day I need my high power. So that's all I have, and I keep coming back. And it takes, you know, practice. You know, you may not be there, but it takes a lot of practice, because it took a lot of practice for me, you know, and I'm still practicing, you know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have time for one or two more if you'd like to come in, or I can pick on. Lisa, are you there? Would you like to come on in? Maurice, come on in.
Hello, family. My name is Maurice. I'm a true blessed recovering alcoholic. Caught me off guard right there, but it's okay. I'd like to thank everybody for sharing. This is my first time at this meeting. A friend of mine's told me about it, and I just love the format of how y'all, you know, go through the steps. And that's step 11. You know, it's funny that when I first came into this program, I was so self-centered, and going through the changes of going through the steps from 1 to 10, I realized that my sponsor had told me that, Maurice, you need to take a slice of humble pie. You know, it ain't going to taste too good, but it's going to be filling. You're going to need a slice of that. And as time went on, I realized the humility that I needed to get, that it is not all about me. You know, that I started to realize that my selfishness was changing into being more selfless. So when I got to like step 11, and you talk about that morning meditation and that blueprint, it gave me a blueprint, like I heard everybody share, you know, that I would do it in the morning. I live in New York. I'm from the Bronx, and I could do it in the morning, but when I step out that door and all those people and the things that go on, sometimes I could lose it. And I usually take that pause and center myself again, you know, and to bring that the best Maurice I can, you know, because for me, you know, it's not alcoholism, it's alcoholism. And I still got those isms. They're not as glaring as it used to be, but I still have to work on it through my spiritual conditioning and working with people in the fellowship and my sponsor. You know, that's basically it for me. Thanks a lot for everybody sharing.
Thank you so much. And I see that Toe Tap and Jamie like to come in.
Oh, right. Toe Tap and Jamie. There's a new one. Good evening, family. My name's Jamie. Very grateful, recovered alcoholic, and good to be with all of you. Glad all of you are here. My apologies for not being here earlier. I had a accessibilities committee and technology committee to be in for my area, because I get to do those kinds of things for service today. So I love step 11, and I always tell everybody that I work with pages 84 through 88 every day. And not just reading it, but actually making it a lifetime practice every day. So why do I say page 84? Because the 10th step inventory lets me see how I'm treating the rest of God's children on this big blue bubble we're floating around on. And it gives me a very specific order in how I take things to God and how I take things to someone else when I need to discuss them, and how I make amends when I've done something wrong. So as I move into the 11th step, there's 4 really important things that I'm doing in this. The first is I'm continuing to seek. And what am I seeking? I'm seeking the knowledge of God's will for me. I already know what my will is. I'm the guy that they wrote about on page 61 and 62 of our big book. The selfishness, the self-centeredness, the pride, the fear, the ego, the illusions, the delusions, and all of that stuff. So I'm seeking the knowledge of God's will for me. And I am seeking to continue that conscious contact. Where did that conscious contact came from? It came through steps 3 through 9. I developed that conscious contact with God during those steps. So I'm still seeking that. And the other part is I'm asking God to empower me with his power, the power I don't have of my own, which I gave up in step 1. Now the 11th step meditation, or excuse me, the 11th step inventory on page 86, when we retire at night. And how do I know it's an 11th step inventory? Because it's already in step 11. So therefore it's an 11th step inventory, and it gives me those 10 specific things to take a look at in my relationship with myself, and my relationship with others, and in my relationship with my Creator. And there again, while it's similar to the 10th step inventory, it has subtle differences, and it gives me another specific way of how I am to take things to God and to someone that I'm supposed to discuss. And there it tells me that I ask for God for forgiveness. So if I'm not practicing these things, what am I missing in my own program of recovery? Am I selling myself short? Am I suffering from untreated alcoholism when I'm not practicing this? In my experience, yes, I am. And then it talks about on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. So I can make that real easy. I can take about 7 hours of that right off the top, because I'm going to be sleeping. I'm not going to think about anything. So that gives me about 16 to 18 hours of my day that somehow has to be managed. And we've already established that I'm not qualified to be in the management business, so I have to ask God to help me manage all of these things that I have to do. You know, I know the logistics of my day generally, what customer I have to be at when, and what load I have to pick up, whether or not I have to have fuel. But there are going to be come things things that come up throughout the day, I'm not going to have the answer for. So again, I have to go back to seeking. And, you know, a lot of us use the 11th step prayer, the modified version of the prayer of St. Francis that Bill put in the 12 and 12 on page 99. But our original 11th step prayer, we find at the bottom of page 87. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or direction. Many of us pause but never ask. And I think that's oftentimes, at least with myself, that's where I get into trouble, when I don't ask. And then it goes on to say something to the effect, we constantly remind ourselves we are not running the show, saying to ourselves many times throughout the day, thy will, not mine, be done. And then here's what's really, really cool, because, you know, folks, we focus on the 9th step promises an awful lot, but, you know, there's over 144 promises in our book. And so it gives us the 11th step promises. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works, it really does. And then I find the very next sentence is very important. We alcoholics are undisciplined, so we let God discipline us in the simple way we have just outlined. Most of us look at discipline and we think of some sort of punishment. And that's been ingrained in us since we were little kids. Got to go to the principal's office. I peed my pants. Dad's going to make me stand in the corner. Mama sent me out to the tree to get a switch to whip me. And that's how we think of discipline. But this is spiritual discipline. And this spiritual discipline comes from the continued practice of this. I don't do any of this perfectly, but I know when I do it and I continue to practice it, what happens is I get to live in a place that is filled with peace, love, compassion, joy, serenity, understanding. And I don't have to change the rest of you to suit me. And even more importantly, I can let the change in me take a natural course rather than trying to force it. I'm going to go here for just a second and I'll shut up. Anybody ever hear anybody in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous say, I'm working on my defects of character? Well, where does it say I get to do that in the book? It doesn't. I give these things to God, and it's up to Him to take care of my defects of character, and some I might take to my grave. And that is the biggest reason that I have to continue the practice of steps 10 and 11. Because I'm very capable of living in those defects of character, and when I do, I'm suffering from untreated alcoholism without ever picking up a drink. I apologize for taking so much time, but good to see y'all. And I love you all dearly. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you were able to come in. Good to see you.
Well, I'm kind of hard to miss. You know, I kind of look like a pickle.
Hello. All right, and that looks like it's all the time we got. Larry, why don't you give us a little bit of a closing?
All right, from page 164, our book, it says, our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously, you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you dredge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. And we have a special way of closing, and we'd like to invite anyone that wants to turn your cameras back on. You're welcome to join us. We are not in brick and mortar where we can hold our hands together, but we can hold our hands to the screen. And we take a moment of silence, and afterwards we have the Lord's Prayer. So we'll take a moment for those still suffering from this disease of alcoholism, and those that doesn't have a say in the matter. Take a moment. And who brought you here tonight from shame to grace?
Our Father,
Our Father,
who
Who
art
art in heaven,
hallowed
hallowed be thy name.
thy kingdom
Thy
come,
kingdom come,
thy will be done
thy will be
on
done
earth
on
as it
earth
is in
as
heaven.
it is in
in
heaven.
Give
heaven.
us this day
Give
our
us
daily
this day
our
our
daily
daily
bread,
bread,
and
and
forgive us our
and
forgive
forgive
us
us
our
our
trespasses,
trespasses
trespasses,
against us,
as
as
we
we
forgive
forgive
those
who
who
trespass
trespass
against
against us.
us.
but
And
And
lead
lead
us
us
not
not
into
into
temptation,
temptation,
for thine
but
is
but
deliver us
deliver
from
us
evil.
from evil.
For thine is the
For
kingdom,
thine is the
power,
kingdom,
and
the
the glory,
power,
forever
and the
and ever.
glory,
Amen.
forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Good to
everybody.
see you, firemen.
Good meeting.
Good night, everyone. Great meeting.
Good night, everybody.
Yes,
Y'all next time.
Donald.